Hey, I want to welcome you today to Revive Talk. We are living in a post and current COVID-19 world where everything changes and decisions have to be made. Everybody's searching for the new normal, not knowing what that looks like. But one of the things we do know is that it's going to affect education. It's going to affect our school systems. And our guest today, after 8 years as county commissioner and now 8 years on our school board, and recently reelected, is Mike DiTirlizzi. And we are proud to have you here and so thankful to have the opportunity to talk to you about the school system and the virus.
Well, thank you, Todd. And it's a pleasure to be here with you and to be able to share my opinions of our school system and what's happening, what has happened, in the last few months, which has changed our lives dramatically.
Yeah.
As you know it. And being outside the school system, many people don't see it unless you have children in the system and you've been forced to go virtual school. But it's everything that happened to get us there, which has been truly amazing for the way it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, we were given a week's notice or 2 weeks notice that we had to do something different. We couldn't keep our students in school. So we went virtual school in a matter of 7 days.
Wow.
And our teachers and our staff were absolutely amazing to be able to get there because they had to train virtually. And they first started training on Google and Google Classroom. And then they had problems with Google Classroom, which led to too many problems. Students taking pictures of themselves, people that could crash into the system. And so then we went to Zoom classrooms and that changed things around a lot, and it's been amazing. Some students aren't doing well with it. Some students are, but it's like anything else. But our staff has really adapted very well.
Yeah.
So let me ask you how it started. Did you get a directive from the governor? And I heard that all of a sudden there was drive-through, people were picking up laptops. How did you quickly, staff up for that? And how has it worked? Has it been successful? Did the kids end well?
It started with a directive from the governor, and we had to adapt in many ways. First of all, we didn't have the laptops for 18,000 plus students. So we knew we had about 8,000 or 9,000 students that had access at home to their own computer systems, their mom's computer, their own iPad or whatever.
Sure.
So we had to very quickly find about 9,000 to 10,000 computers or laptops or iPads.
Wow.
And so did every other school district
Right.
in the country,
Wow.
basically.
Right.
So we were fortunate that we had the reserve funds and we had a technology plan that would allow us to buy computers for students. And we were doing a phase-in of we started at the high school level and working our way down. So we were able to find the computers and be able to purchase them. And we were one of the last school districts to be able to buy computers. It was amazing.
You're talking about buying 9,000 laptops with a 1 week lead time.
Yes.
And you did that.
And our staff did it. Our superintendent did a great job. Her staff, her executive team, even, all the way down to teaching the teachers how to use the electronics to be able to teach virtually.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 7 days for our teachers to break into an electronic classroom.
I don't think most people really comprehend what that one decision means, because typically, if the school system decided, hey, we want to provide laptops for the students, there'd be a committee formed. We'd be going through all kind of specifications of what laptop do we need, what cost. We'd send it out for bid. We try to find out, where we can get the best price. You guys did that in 7 days.
7 days.
That's crazy.
It was, fortunately, we were able to piggyback on other bids and the way government works. You have a bid, so you can continue that bid. You can piggyback on another government agency's bid, whether it be the state of Florida or another school district somewhere in the state or somewhere in the country. So it actually worked very well. But to be able to use professional development, our professional development staff, to teach the teachers how to do this was truly amazing. We have 1,300 teachers.
Wow.
And those teachers had 7 days roughly, to get in there and learn how to teach the students. And the students had to learn how to go into the classroom. So it was a tremendous learning experience for everybody.
I'd like to ask about the survey, because what I started hearing maybe a month ago was that there was a survey that went out to the parents talking and asking, getting feedback for how the next year's school year might go and what they would be willing to participate in. So maybe you could speak into that and maybe give thoughts of the results of that or how next year's school year might look.
Good question. And I have seen some of the survey results. I have seen hundreds and hundreds of emails from parents and students regarding what's next.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because the range of opinions and the range of requests from our parents and families are as different as the parents and families.
Yeah.
So you would think that it's easy to just say, okay, we're going to continue virtual school. Well, we're under the control of the Department of Education, which is underneath the governor. So we take our directives generally from the governor and the state of Florida, which may get some influence from the federal government, but for the most part, our influence comes from the governor and their feelings about opening. It appears that they want us to open to some degree. Mm-hmm. But what happens is, some parents say, I'm not sending my kid back to school until there's a vaccine.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that. And as a parent of children and grandchildren myself, I can understand that fully. Mm-hmm. There are some parents that say, listen, I have to get back to work.
Right.
And I'm fully aware of that. I mean, I own my own small business. Mm-hmm. I have been deemed essential business, and I've had to work throughout coronavirus. And I've had to keep my employees working through coronavirus and protect them from the virus and protect my customers from the virus. And it's been very difficult and extremely costly. Mm-hmm. The district has also had to do that. Mm-hmm. We've literally had to go in and disinfect our schools. And we've had to buy equipment to disinfect, chemicals that are healthy and safe for all of our students. Because you have students that have allergies and you have students that can't be around chemicals. So we've had to go and research the types of chemicals and the equipment that we could go in and clean and sanitize 20 schools plus. Mm-hmm. And it's been a great undertaking. But parents, some want their students back in school, some don't. And then we go through the plethora of issues revolved around that. How do we staff our schools? Because not only the students and parents that may or may not want their student back, there's 1,300 teachers and another 1,100 support staff, whether they be, in the cafeterias, whether they be bus drivers, janitors, secretaries and various professional development people, backroom staff, as far as all the different departments, bookkeepers and accountants and human resource folks. How do we bring everybody back? On top of that, we've embarked on a new school district building, which, as you know, is the Stewart News building, and it's being remodeled as we speak. Oh, wow. So we're moving people into that building. We have to be concerned. Number one, is our staff socially distancing? Is the building clean? And we're bringing about 205 people into the old Stewart News building. So that's happening right now. And then some teachers feel that they don't want to come back during COVID-19 while it's still active. And at this moment, cases are on the rise. Wow. And then there's some that say, I need to get back into a classroom.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to wind up, and we kind of talked a little bit about it this week, maybe a hybrid system. There's got to be, there's some parents that want their kids in school. We have to socially distance. There's a plethora of opinions on masks. Do students wear masks? Do you not wear masks? Mm-hmm. Now, why hasn't OSHA come in and said anything about, hey, let's talk about the safety of masks or the faults of wearing a mask? Right. Because some masks you should wear, some masks you shouldn't wear. Some masks we're wearing aren't doing a thing for us. Mm-hmm. Just because we're covering our face doesn't necessarily mean we're protecting ourselves.
Or more harm than good.
Or people around us. So it's going to be an interesting time.
So you've been a county commissioner for 8 years and now on the school board for 8 years. Let's cast that vision out another 15 or 20 years. I don't think there's any doubt that there has been a move in general toward everything going online in the realm of education. As more and more colleges become online colleges, and more seminaries become online seminaries, you got to think that one day that's going to move into our high school, middle school, elementary school functions, even though for years and years and years, this has been one of the substantial opportunities for people to work is the fact that their children go to a school. So how do you see the future of primary care schooling going over the next 10, 15 years?
Well, that'll be real interesting because you've got your public education system, you have your private education system. Now you have, charter schools coming in, and we've had charter schools in Martin County.
Yeah.
We have the Indian River Community College has the center for their charter school. We have the Hope Center for Autism. We now have Treasure Coast Classical Academy, and I believe some of our parishioners' children may go there also. I've heard about that. And that whole charter system is changing education.
Yeah.
Because public dollars, yours and my tax dollars, are now being used to go to charter schools. And there's lots of trains of thought on that, whether it's good or bad. The fact is we're under directive by our government, so we have to follow our directives. We have to give them capital money. We have to give them facilities if we have facilities we're not using. I mean, I looked at relocating Palm City Elementary School. Palm City Elementary is a 60-year-old school in a small neighborhood in Palm City. It's reached its useful life. We've planned to rebuild it. The voters of Martin County have said, we want you to rebuild that school, a new school there or wherever, and we're going to give you the money to do that. So I asked staff, we need to look for another location that school can grow over the next 50 years. Because when we build a school, it's for 50 plus years. Mm-hmm. And we have to build it strong enough and all that, and all the different functions of the school have to operate for that many years. So they came to us and said, listen, if we vacate that school, we have to offer it to a charter school. We have to give them the title and the keys.
Wow.
And not charge them for it. And if something happens and they close, they get to sell that school. Now, I don't know that that's the right way or the way it was intended to be, but somebody should be looking into that. And we've talked to staff about that to see exactly what's going on. But you mentioned virtual school, and I'll answer that. Virtual school has been around.
Sure.
I mean, my daughter graduated from virtual school, and she actually took virtual classes. Two of my children took virtual classes while in high school. But Florida Virtual is a good program in Florida, and it's been very successful. And that model has really expanded nationwide and is doing a good job. But there's other things that are required and needed really for students, because you need that social interaction.
Sure you do.
Not every teacher can work on a computer, and those teachers need interaction. You remember your first grade teacher.
Sure, I do.
Most adults remember and have a love for somebody in their that taught them throughout their life. And virtually, you don't get that.
True.
It's hard to build relationships and build that what they need, what the students need, because not every student comes from a great home.
Yeah.
You have students that come from broken homes and students that come from abusive homes, and they need that caring, nurturing atmosphere, and you're not going to get that in a computer.
Yeah.
So at some point, I see that we will, it's my opinion, that we'll have more virtual, but it'll be a blend of virtual like it is now, and it may be a little greater, it may not be a little greater.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, when you dream about the future of schools in Martin County, when you think about what excites you about what could happen, where we could go, what could be next, you get caught in a world of all kind of calamity and problems, which we've seen this summer. You got enough on your plate. I don't think you need anything more to deal with. But what do you want to see? What's your vision? What are some of the goals that you would love to see Martin County get into?
Well, we talk about education system in the United States, and we talk about Martin County. We're usually in the top 10 educators in Martin County, education systems in the state of Florida. We do a very good job of educating our students.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at the statistics, Florida is about 26 or 27 in the country. So if we're in the top 10, we're really talking about being just below average.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's good. Are we happy with being average or just below average? And it's not every student. Some students, as you know, excel and some students don't. But when we look at 18,000 students, we look at the whole. And I think what excites me about education is the ability for us to improve. When you're one of the higher rated districts, and we have lots of accolades and awards from the state for high performance in various areas, but we also have some areas of deficiency. And it gives me great hope that we can take, and we're moving into a new era in Martin County right now. We have the voters voted to appoint a superintendent versus an elected superintendent. I happen to think our elected superintendents over the years have done a great job in Martin County. People like Frank Brogan, who went off to be, a chancellor for the education system, and now he's been with the Department of Education in Washington under Betsy DeVos. Now he's actually, one of the front runners to run Indian River Community College and come home to Martin County where he came from. He was a superintendent of schools here. Sarah Wilcox did a great job. Lori Gaylord has done a phenomenal job. But now we're looking at appointing at voters' directive to appoint a superintendent. So, as a good district, I look at how do we improve and and what's it going to take for us to improve. If we were a D district, it would be generally fairly easy to make some changes and bring us up to a B or a C. But when you're an A district, it's a lot harder to become the best.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the best in Florida. I want to be up in the best in the United States, because that's what it's going to take for our students to get jobs out in the real world. And there's other things. It's not just the technological jobs and those very high-end jobs. It's jobs today in air conditioning, electrical repair, plumbing, auto mechanics, chefs. We have 20 career technical institutes in our schools: nursing, engineering, architecture, building construction. It's just amazing where we're going.
Yeah.
And this is in its infancy.
Let me shift the conversation a little bit.
Sure.
Maybe just for fun. What do you wish that the parents of Martin County knew about working on the school board? And when I say that, I think there's around 170,000 in population in this county, which means you've probably got 150,000 consultants. So, what do you wish they knew about what it's like on your side of the fence, trying to manage this, trying to direct it, trying to appease, trying to do what the public's asking?
Well, I got to tell you, Todd, I'm impressed, and I have been over the years. On county commission, it wasn't like it is on the school board.
Okay.
I came into the school board really not knowing anything about an education system, coming from local government and, in my opinion, mastering my job as a county commissioner. I came into education not really knowing much about education other than helping my 3 kids, my wife and I helping our 3 children go through school.
Sure.
But we have a great system. And, the first report I saw about volunteer hours in Martin County floored me. We had about 180,000 volunteer hours in Martin County schools, 20 schools.
Yeah.
Most of the elementary schools tend to be elementary and middle schools tend to have a tremendous amount of volunteers. The high schools still do okay. But it really is amazing how much people are involved in our schools. I would not underestimate how involved they are.
Yeah.
Because they understand it. Now, granted, there's two parents working that they can't always get to schools. So for them to log in, learn more about our schools, we're in Zoom meetings. The other day, we had 400 people on our board meeting.
In a Zoom meeting?
Now, most of them, we had 40 some odd as participants.
Yeah.
And then everybody else was watching from afar. Mm-hmm. And, they had the ability to text while they're, text the board. And although Tuesday we didn't have any, a couple of weeks prior we had several.
Yeah.
And with only about 160 visitors on the meeting. But it surprised me because we've been doing Zoom for a couple of months now, and we'd see 30 or 40, but more and more people are logging in and getting involved in the education of their students. And I think that's because they've been forced to be teachers.
Yeah.
Because they're home,
Right.
they're not working, and their students are having to get educated virtually. Guess who's got to be there and help them and become a teacher? The teachers are doing a great job. They're there. They're in front of their students for so many hours a day. They're teaching their students virtually for so many hours a day. But it's the parents' responsibility to get those students in front of that computer.
Yeah.
Because not everyone is staying in front of that computer.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited that we're moving in a direction of more parental involvement. And hopefully we can keep that momentum going because as a pastor, as pastors, that parental involvement in their children's lives is huge. It's phenomenal. It's what every student needs. And where you see parental involvement not there, then you have students that are going in the wrong direction and getting into trouble, doing things they shouldn't be doing. So, the parents' involvement is so important. And I see that as something that's really a new thing for us. And what's been positive about COVID-19, if you could say anything has been positive about COVID-19.
Yeah. I know probably the number one feedback that we got from parents in April and May was I'm going absolutely crazy with my kids at home, trying to be school teacher and Zoom and school. So I know it's been a pretty significant challenge. Now, you've been in our school board seat for 8 years and just congratulations got reelected for 4 more years.
Thank you.
Over that past 8 years, what do you see as the big gains? What do you see as the big decisions? What do you see as the things that you'll remember while you were there during that time we accomplished these things?
Well, I think our first major one, which is extremely controversial, was securing our financial health of the district.
Okay.
Back in 2012, I got elected. 2013, there wasn't a lot of money. We were coming out of a recession. Let's just say former administration kind of left the district in a bad way. And we didn't have much reserve money at all. We actually were below the state minimum on reserves. And we require ourselves by policy to have a 5% reserve, a reserve fund. And the state requires us to have 3% reserve fund, rainy day fund in case emergencies, hurricanes, whatever. We were at less than 1%.
Wow.
So we were being, scolded by the state of Florida. We were scolding ourselves. We were trying to find millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
And we had to make some really tough decisions. I mean, things like health insurance that affect hundreds of people, never mind thousands, because, our teachers do a great job for our students, but we had to make some tough decisions. And that was difficult, but it ensured the ability for us the decisions we made ensured the ability for us to go ahead and properly educate our students for the future to the tune of millions of dollars a year in additional revenues or less expenditures to help fund education. Now, obviously teachers, everybody talks about teachers, we need to pay our teachers more. And we have been. Now, unfortunately, 2008, the economy tanked. It taught government a very large lesson, and not everybody understands it, is, when you have reoccurring expenses, you have to have reoccurring income.
Right.
And government works on tax dollars. Now, something a lot of people don't understand is Martin County school board members like me versus a county commissioner. County commissioners set the millage every single year.
Yeah.
And they get a portion of that millage back from the state. Well, in school districts, the governor and his cabinet set the millage. So they tell us how much we're going to collect. And all we have to do is ratify it. If we don't, we go back to last year's millage, which really could hurt us in some ways. But so when the millage drops because of some economic failures, then what happens, or when the income drops because of economic failures, you have no money to pay people. So you're between this rock and a hard place to force maybe layoffs, maybe furlough days, which is something we had to do in 2013 or 14 And it hurt. It was really hard to tell somebody, I'm going to give you a few days off this year without pay. Because you want that they're giving their lives. These people come out of college and go into educating students or working in the school district in some manner or working their way up through the system. And you're going to say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. So we've had to change the way we pay.
Yeah.
We have a base pay. We work with the best we can to get that base pay as high as we possibly can. And then we bonus every year.
Yeah.
Because God forbid something, we don't know the effects of COVID-19.
Sure.
It may leave us with no money next year. We're already looking at a $2 million plus shortfall for next year and where we're going to find that money.
Yeah.
So, if we had, 2,400 employees at the highest salaries instead of bonuses plus a salary, we might be $6 or $8 million in the hole.
Correct.
So not everybody agrees with that, but unfortunately it's a reality in government and education. So we look to recruit and hire the best people we can. We look to bring our teachers' salaries up to the best that we could pay, but we also have to have accountability in the system and results in the system for our students. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, these children are going to be taking care of us as their parents when we're in our old age.
Mike, I want to just say thank you for coming and talking to us about obviously a very hot topic right now. It's our school systems. This is what we know. Things are changing. We've been forced by a virus and technology to begin looking at things in a new way. And we've got people like Mike that are working for us, trying to sort all that out so that we can move forward in our education, our school systems. I want to thank you today for joining us. I want to thank you today for joining us. And I think the greatest summation of our conversation today is pretty much what both Mike and Jan said. It's time to recognize there's a lot going on, and patience with each other, a lot of grace with each other to get through it is going to help us all. So God bless you so much. Thank you for joining us today at Revive Talk.